Iceland is a small island located in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean, close to the Arctic Circle. Annually, thousands of travelers come to the island to spend time riding the Icelandic horse. Just what is it that draws all these people to the Icelandic horse? What is its magic? The horse originally came to Iceland with the early settlers in the late 9th century. Conditions were cramped on board the ships sailing from Scandinavia and the British Isles, so the settlers only brought with them essential belongings and the very best of their livestock. The horse soon adapted to its new environment and survived the severity of the Icelandic nature. Until the late 19th century, there were no roads or bridges in Iceland. The Icelandic horse was the only means of transportation and played a major role in the daily life on the small farms. The horse today has all the virtues valued by the Icelanders. It is very strong, hardy, self-sufficient, spirited with a strong sense of direction, enduring, nimble-footed, very pleasing to ride, and last but not least, it has an excellent temperament. Due to the country's isolation and a law passed by the ancient Althing or Parliament in the year 1100, banning the import of horses, and a ban still in effect, the Icelandic horse is today a direct descendant of those brought by the first Viking settlers. Today, the Icelandic horse, although somewhat larger and easier on the eye than in former days, still displays characteristics of the ancient European horse. Most noteworthy are that all 5 gaits are still intact. The walk is an even 4-beat cadence, with each foot independently striking the ground. The trot is a 2-beat gait, where the front and back legs on opposite sides move together. The canter is a 3-beat gait. The famous tult is a remarkably smooth 4-beat gait, where the feet move in the same sequence as in the walk. This gait can be ridden at either a slow or fast pace. When riding on a high-stepping tultur, the rider has the feeling of floating above the ground. The pace or amble is a 2-beat movement, where front and hind legs on each side move together. After the 2 feet of each side touch the ground and propel it forward, all the feet are off the ground. It is ridden at a very high speed, so it feels like the horse is flying. The pace is considered to be the gait which commands the closest cooperation between the horse and rider. It has to be nurtured carefully in the young horse and not claimed for use until the horse has developed all the muscles necessary for this very powerful flying gait. Another distinctive feature of the Icelandic horse is its many colors. Breeding for color is almost non-existent. Plans to limit breeding to selected colors were abandoned at the outset, and subsequently we have this festival of colors in the Icelandic horse. Horse breeding in Iceland has always meant exclusively breeding the Icelandic horse, as no other horse breeds are to be found in the country. From the first, the breeding has largely been based on the gaits, temperament, and overall type. When shown, the horses are given marks separately for each of these attributes. The marks given then decide the quality of the stallions and mares. The horse has to be judged before it can be entered into a stud book. Laws concerning horse breeding have been in force since the last century and define quite clearly the duties and obligations of horse breeders. Breeding groups, comprising several mares and a stallion, are kept on large areals and must be fenced in. All stallions older than 1.5 years must be kept in fenced fields. Other horses, young and old, roam freely on the common lands or the home pastures. The riding in of the young horse begins at 4 years. The initial training lasting for 1 or 2 months, no longer. Then it gets to roam free for almost a year until it receives further training and becomes a riding horse. In Iceland, it is considered to be important when rearing a good saddle horse that the young horse is allowed to roam free with the other horses, learning the natural way to obey the older horses, thus making it more receptive for training later on. During training, the Icelandic horse is not broken, but coached into cooperation. This coaching method of training, combined with roaming free in the wild, has a definite hand in the spirited character of the horse. There are many riding clubs in Iceland, and during the summer, all the clubs arrange at least one or more horse show each, every weekend from April to September. The clubs form the National Association of Riding Clubs, which along with the Agricultural Society, organize a national horse show every 4th year. Thousands of people gather from all over the country, and several thousand come from abroad to participate in this extraordinary event, camping out and perhaps even going horse trekking before or after the show. The riding clubs also hold and supervise an annual regional horse show, reaching every quarter of the country. At these shows, you can see the best mares and stallions, pre-selected all over the country. Also, the best tolters and 5-gaiters from all the different clubs. At these events, be it a small meet or national show, horses often change hands, and many a visitor from abroad has been tempted to buy their dream horse, either at the show or after having visited a horse breeding farm during their stay in Iceland. But not all horses are used for competition. The vast majority are used for daily leisure riding. Some people spend all their free time in the company of their horses, but can only ride out for a short period. Keeping horses is a popular hobby in Iceland, and many have found it to be a welcome break from the factory floor or the office desk to spend some time caring, grooming, and riding out on their horse, even if they only manage to get away for an hour or two. Others take their holidays on horseback riding cross-country. The horses have been prepared for the long distances and the riders for the long hours in the saddle. Often each rider has up to 3 horses for the journey. Many visitors to Iceland have become acquainted with a horse by renting one and riding it under supervision of a teacher or a trained rider. After having discovered the wonderful feeling of riding the Tult, many go for longer or shorter holidays on horseback, riding in the countryside, or even venturing up into the highlands to discover the captivating landscape. The Icelandic horse today plays a vital role during the annual sheep roundup, helping the farmers in covering vast sections of countryside that is inaccessible by car, and those places are many in Iceland. Usually, fewer can go on the roundup than want to, and those that do are considered the lucky ones. Equally exciting is the annual horse roundup, which takes place during the fall when the horses are brought back from the pastures or common lands. Horses which are sent abroad for competition purposes may not be brought back to Iceland again. They are usually sold to new owners after the competition. Used riding tack cannot be brought back either. Thousands of Icelandic horses are now in Europe, the United States and Canada. Clubs have been formed by the owners of these horses, and many shows are organized by these clubs every year. The clubs have founded an international association for the Friends of the Icelandic Horse, which organizes biennial international shows and races. However, these shows can never be held in Iceland because of the import prohibition law. Icelanders continue to bring their horses to competitions outside the country. Foreign guests continue to visit the Icelandic horse in its natural habitat, traveling in the magnificent landscape, meeting the friendly locals, and experiencing the unique character of the Icelandic horse. All would agree that it's certainly worth the trip.
Yeah.